In the distant reaches of the galaxy, a massive coalition known as the Galactic Empire ruled over countless planets and star systems. They were feared across space for their power, discipline, and advanced technology. Entire civilizations bowed to them, often without a fight. For centuries, the Empire believed nothing could challenge its might. That was about to change. On the edge of explored space, the Empire's sensors picked up unusual signals. A small blue-green planet circled a bright yellow star in a quiet corner of the galaxy. It seemed peaceful and unremarkable at first glance. But careful analysis revealed something remarkable. Intelligent life. Humans. The Empire had never encountered them before, and curiosity quickly turned to caution. In the grand halls of the Empire's capital, glowing panels displayed streams of information. Fleet commanders and high-ranking officials gathered around a large holographic map. "This species is different," said Admiral Ralvin, a sharp-eyed alien with green scales and 3 small antennae that twitched when he was excited. "Their technology is growing faster than we expected. They are not a primitive species, yet they do not resemble any we have catalogued." The Emperor, a tall figure shrouded in robes that shimmered like starlight, did not speak immediately. He studied the planet through a viewing lens, noting the vibrant cities and sprawling landscapes. "If they continue to grow unchecked," he finally said, "they could become a threat. Prepare a fleet. We will assess them. And if necessary, strike first." Back on Earth, life went on as usual. Humans were busy with their cities' work and leisure. Children played in parks while scientists worked in labs. Artists painted murals in bright colors, and engineers designed new machines that could fly or travel underwater. Humans were clever, resourceful, and, most importantly, unpredictable. The first signs of the Empire's arrival were subtle. Strange, silent ships appeared in the upper atmosphere. At first, people thought they were new satellites or experimental aircraft. News reports speculated wildly. Social media buzzed with excitement, jokes, and memes. "Aliens are coming," one headline read. "But don't worry, they probably want coffee and Wi-Fi." Governments and scientists quickly realized these ships were not ordinary. They were massive, smooth, and powerful, far beyond any human technology. Military forces prepared for possible conflict, but humans reacted differently than the Empire expected. Instead of panic, there was curiosity, humor, and strangely, confidence. On the streets of New York City, people gathered to watch the sky. Children pointed at the ships while vendors sold snacks and merchandise featuring cartoon versions of aliens. In Tokyo, artists created colorful murals of smiling extraterrestrials. In Nairobi, musicians performed songs inspired by the unknown visitors. Everywhere, humans treated the moment with playfulness, as if the arrival of a mighty empire were just another spectacle in life's long story. In orbit, the Empire's scouts grew frustrated. They could not understand the humans. The ships hovered silently, and humans did not hide or run. Instead, they waved at the cameras, shouted jokes into space, and displayed enormous signs that read things like, "Welcome. Do you want tea?" Back on the Empire's command ship, Admiral Ralvin tapped his claws on the control panel. "This is confusing," he muttered. "They do not react with fear or submission. They behave as if we are not a threat." The Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. "Do not underestimate them," he warned. "Their appearance is simple, but do not mistake their humor for weakness. Observe carefully. We will strike if necessary, but first understand." Despite the Emperor's caution, the scouts were increasingly baffled. Humans seemed to combine intelligence with chaos, unpredictability with creativity. Small drones flying around cities acted in bizarre ways, sometimes forming giant smiley faces, sometimes creating temporary barriers that deflected Empire scanners. Humans even used everyday objects, bicycles, umbrellas, colorful balloons, to interfere with the alien ship's sensors. The Empire decided to escalate. "If these creatures are truly dangerous," the Emperor said, "we will not wait for them to strike. Send the first wave of the fleet. Show them our power. They will laugh, but we will silence them." Meanwhile, on Earth, a group of scientists working at a research station in Antarctica noticed unusual energy readings. They were the first to understand that the alien ships could not predict human behavior. Dr. Lena Morales, a young physicist, grinned as she explained to her colleagues. "They think we're primitive. They do not realize our strength comes from being unpredictable. Every time they plan a move, we have already adapted. Humans began preparing in subtle ways. Military forces upgraded defense systems, not to attack immediately but to protect civilians and observe the aliens. Engineers designed drones that could mimic birds, creating confusion in alien sensors. Cities painted enormous murals that, when viewed from space, formed confusing patterns and symbols. Humans were using creativity as a weapon before the first real battle even began. The Empire's first landing attempt came quietly. Small pods descended toward major cities. The aliens expected panic, screams, and surrender. What they found instead was a mixture of curiosity and amusement. In Paris, people gathered in cafes taking photos of the landing pods. A group of teenagers dressed in elaborate costumes ran past the pods, pretending to be superheroes defending the city. In Sydney, surfers paddled toward the coastline, waving at the alien visitors as if greeting tourists. Admiral Ralvin's communication panel lit up with alarms. "They are laughing at us," he said, disbelief in his voice. "They are not afraid." From the Emperor's seat, a wave of irritation passed through the chamber. "Curious," he said. "They must not survive long under our scrutiny. Prepare for a full invasion. Let us see how much they truly understand." Back on Earth, humans noticed the Empire's preparations, but instead of fear, they responded with ingenuity and humor. Scientists like Dr. Morales worked with engineers to create unexpected countermeasures. Citizens organized festivals, creating human unity and morale that no alien force had ever faced before. Every joke, prank, and clever maneuver sent a signal. Humans were not afraid. As night fell across the planet, lights from cities shone like a mosaic of color. The alien ships hovered above, massive and menacing. Yet the humans below continued their activities as if nothing unusual had happened. Some children drew chalk pictures on the streets depicting aliens with exaggerated features and funny expressions. In homes, families discussed the strange visitors over dinner, sharing guesses and laughing together. Even the Empire's most seasoned commanders struggled to interpret the humans. "They fight with laughter," one admitted. "And yet, they are dangerous." The stage was set. The Galactic Empire believed they were about to crush a primitive species. Humans, on the other hand, simply laughed and prepared, combining intellect, creativity, and fearlessness in ways the aliens could not yet understand. The first battle was coming, but already it was clear that humanity was unlike any enemy the Empire had faced before. As the night deepened, a young engineer in New Delhi watched the stars with her friends. She pointed at the largest alien ship and said, "I think they are about to learn something important. Humans are not afraid, and humans are clever. They might even regret trying to scare us." Her friends laughed, echoing her sentiment. Across the world, humans were ready. Not with fear, but with confidence, ingenuity, and humor. Somewhere in the Empire's command chamber, the Emperor stared at Earth, his mind calculating strategies. But for the first time in centuries, he felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. The humans were laughing, and that laughter carried a warning he could not ignore. The first part of the conflict had begun, not with explosions, not with fear, but with curiosity, creativity, and laughter. And somewhere, deep inside the hearts of humans, a quiet certainty grew. Whatever came from the stars, they would face it together, and they would win, in ways no one could predict. The morning sunlight spilled across Earth, but above the clouds, shadows darker than any night stretched across the sky. The Galactic Empire had decided to move from observation to action. Massive warships bristling with weapons that could destroy entire cities appeared in orbit. Humans had expected this, but they were not afraid. On the ground, city streets were alive with energy. Humans worked quickly and calmly, transforming their cities into defensive networks without panic. In London, engineers disguised ordinary buses and trucks as mobile shield stations. In São Paulo, citizens constructed towers of reflective panels to confuse the Empire's sensors. Small drones, designed to look like birds or insects, swarmed in patterns that no alien machine could predict. The first wave of attack began with a fleet of massive ships entering the atmosphere. They fired energy beams toward major urban centers. Explosions erupted in uninhabited areas, carefully calculated to avoid human casualties but still intended to intimidate. On the ground, people stopped and stared, waiting to see what would happen next. And then, as if by instinct, humans began to act, but not in fear. In Tokyo, a group of young engineers activated a series of holographic projectors across the city. Gigantic images of smiling humans, waving hands, and even cartoon cats appeared in the sky, confusing the sensors on the alien ships. The energy beams, calibrated for precise strikes, missed their targets, bouncing off walls of light. Citizens cheered and waved as if watching fireworks. The aliens had expected panic, but instead they found playfulness and unpredictability. Meanwhile, in New York, Dr. Lena Morales coordinated a network of drones that carried mirrors, reflective panels, and even giant helium balloons. The balloons floated toward the ships, each one painted with bold human faces. When the Empire's scanners tried to track targets, the balloons created false readings. Some ships fired weapons at these balloons only to waste precious energy on harmless human tricks. On board the alien command ship, Admiral Ralvin's antennae twitched furiously. "How can they be so organized yet so unpredictable?" he asked. "Our sensors cannot read them. Our strategies fail. They do not act like any enemy we have encountered." Humans on the ground were also striking back. Using improvised but clever technology, small teams infiltrated the aliens' smaller ships. In San Francisco, a group of teenagers piloted drones that could attach to the hulls of enemy ships. They uploaded simple programs that caused minor malfunctions. Nothing deadly, nothing permanent, but enough to make the Empire's engineers scramble in confusion. In the skies over Cairo, massive ships tried to intimidate humans by dropping shockwaves that could flatten buildings. Citizens responded with ingenious countermeasures: giant nets, energy-reflecting panels, and coordinated human movements that tricked alien sensors. Ordinary people became heroes, moving as one, confusing machines designed to calculate strategy and fear. Even the aliens themselves were struggling with human psychology. The Empire was built on fear and obedience, but humans were neither afraid nor obedient in the expected sense. They laughed, joked, and continued their work with a calm certainty. In orbit, Ralvin's communications officer reported, "They are enjoying themselves. Some even wave at our weapons before dodging them." The aliens' next move was bold. They dispatched elite strike teams to land in key locations, expecting to crush human command centers. The humans had anticipated this. When the first squads descended in sleek silver pods, they found empty streets and streets filled with booby traps disguised as ordinary objects. A street that appeared empty was actually lined with hidden energy nets, harmless to humans but enough to entangle alien suits. In one remarkable scene over Paris, humans used holographic technology to create decoy cities. The alien strike team landed in what they thought was the city center, only to find themselves surrounded by mirrored illusions. Each building they targeted was empty, and every path they took led to a dead end. Humans observed safely from nearby rooftops, communicating with each other through hand signals and small devices. Across the Atlantic, in Rio de Janeiro, humans turned the carnival spirit into strategy. Giant floats moved in patterns that confused alien scanners. Music, lights, and motion created a spectacle the aliens could not understand. The Empire's troops tried to follow, but every time they aimed to strike, they found themselves chasing illusions. The humans laughed, cheered, and continued their movements as if the entire world were a stage. Back on the Empire's command ship, tension grew. Admiral Ralvin paced the deck. "We are losing control of the situation," he admitted. "Their unpredictability, it is unlike anything we have faced." The Emperor's voice cut through the room like a blade. "Control is an illusion," he said softly, though every officer in the room felt the weight of it. "Observe them, understand them, strike when necessary, but remember, the human's greatest weapon is their mind, and their mind cannot be tamed." On Earth, humans were striking in subtle but brilliant ways. In Cape Town, ordinary city buses carried mobile EMP devices, temporarily disabling alien equipment. In Sydney, surfboards and small boats created illusions in the ocean that made it impossible for the Empire to land forces near the coast. In Moscow, engineers had rigged ordinary streetlights to create confusing energy patterns, effectively hiding movement in plain sight. Even civilians played a part. Children ran in coordinated groups acting as live decoys. Teachers, parents, and volunteers moved strategically, providing human shields while simultaneously confusing sensors. Every move combined logic with improvisation, turning ordinary life into a battlefield humans controlled without panic. The Empire had underestimated humans. They had assumed fear would rule every reaction. that discipline and technology would always triumph over unpredictability. But humans were clever, adaptable, and most importantly, unafraid. They faced enormous odds with confidence and humor, qualities no alien fleet could calculate. In Washington, D.C., a team of engineers deployed a giant holographic mirror array across the National Mall. From space, the lights and reflections created a massive illusion, making the alien fleet misread distances and coordinates. Some ships fired on what they thought were cities only to hit empty fields. Every failed strike made humans cheer louder, reinforcing their morale. On board the alien command ship, tension reached a peak. "This species is impossible," Ralvin admitted. "We are being defeated not by weapons but by imagination, by laughter, by their refusal to be intimidated." The Emperor remained calm, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth. "Do not dismiss them," he said. "They are dangerous in ways our history does not teach. Strength is not only in weapons but in creativity and courage. Watch carefully and do not underestimate their resolve." Meanwhile, humans continued to adapt and innovate. Small teams explored the Empire's technology, discovering weaknesses they could exploit. Drones and engineers worked together to study alien communication patterns, identifying predictable sequences that humans could use to confuse the enemy further. In one daring maneuver, humans used a combination of holographic projections, decoy drones, and ordinary vehicles to trick an entire squadron into retreating. The Empire expected order, fear, and obedience, but humans responded with chaos that was purposeful and intelligent. Every failed attack by the aliens only strengthened the humans' confidence. By the end of the first day of the invasion, the Empire had inflicted no real damage on human cities. Instead, humans had demonstrated their resilience, creativity, and unity. Across the world, people celebrated not because they had destroyed enemy ships, but because they had survived, adapted, and outsmarted a technologically superior force. In a quiet moment, Dr. Morales looked at the night sky and smiled. "They thought fear would control us," she said. "They thought power was enough. They do not know us. They have not yet understood the strength of humans." And in orbit, as alien ships regrouped, the truth became clear even to the Empire's most seasoned commanders. Humans were unlike any species they had faced. They were resilient, unpredictable, and fearless, and for the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an enemy it could not fully calculate or control. The first wave of the Galactic Empire's invasion had failed, not because humans had the biggest weapons, but because they had hearts full of courage, minds full of creativity, and a spirit the Empire could not break. And somewhere deep in the heart of every human, laughter echoed, a simple, fearless sound that carried the message clearly across space. We are humans. We do not fear, and we will not be conquered. The Empire had expected an easy conquest, but Earth had proven that humans were clever, resourceful, and fearless. After the first wave of attacks failed, alien commanders retreated to their warships to plan their next move. They believed that with superior technology and numbers, humans could not last long. Yet humans were far from beaten. In fact, the first attack had revealed opportunities they could exploit. In New Delhi, Dr. Lena Morales and her team worked tirelessly in a high-tech laboratory. Screens glowed with data from alien ships, energy outputs, shield patterns, flight trajectories. "They are strong," she said, pointing at a holographic map, "but predictable in some ways. Their technology is advanced but rigid. They follow patterns, and humans are not predictable." From that understanding, the humans began their counterattack. Small teams were sent to intercept alien ships in orbit. Using modified drones, spacecraft, and clever programming, they created disguises and false signals to fool alien sensors. One human pilot, a young woman named Arya Chen, maneuvered her small shuttle into the path of a massive alien vessel. Her drone swarmed around the hull, projecting holograms of false engines and weapons. The alien ship fired repeatedly, striking illusions instead of reality. Arya smiled, knowing every shot wasted energy and time. On Earth, the people worked in perfect coordination. Cities became laboratories of improvisation. Streets that appeared empty were in fact strategically trapped, ready to confound any landing parties. In São Paulo, engineers built platforms disguised as ordinary buildings. When aliens tried to land, they were greeted by collapsing floors and harmless energy nets, leaving them tangled and confused. Even ordinary citizens contributed. Children ran in playful formations, mimicking tactical movements while teachers, volunteers, and workers acted as decoys. Families coordinated through secure networks, moving like living chess pieces across the cities. Every human action was calculated yet appeared casual, even humorous. The Empire, observing from orbit, grew frustrated. "They are not following fear or reason," Admiral Ralvin admitted. "Every action is deliberate chaos. They strike where we expect them to wait and wait where we expect them to strike. It is infuriating." Humans also began to turn the Empire's own technology against them. Using captured drones and minor alien equipment disabled during earlier skirmishes, they learned how to hack and redirect weapon systems. In Paris, a human team infiltrated an abandoned alien landing pod. Using simple but effective techniques, they sent false signals to the main fleet, causing several ships to fire at one another unintentionally. Explosions erupted in empty space, while humans on the ground watched with astonishment and amusement. In Cairo, a coordinated strike involved holographic projections, EMP pulses, and physical traps. Aliens moving toward the city were suddenly blinded by reflections and illusions. Their energy weapons misfired, striking empty streets and harmless debris. Citizens cheered as the invaders stumbled, proving that even the most elite alien soldiers could be outsmarted. Meanwhile, humans developed clever communication methods. Teams across the globe shared data in real time, using encrypted networks and creative coding techniques. They predicted alien movements with uncanny accuracy, often using humor and playful misdirection to confuse enemy sensors. A holographic cat projected in Moscow disrupted an entire squadron of alien scouts, forcing them to retreat into orbit, baffled and humiliated. On the Empire's command ship, tension reached a new level. Officers whispered in panic as reports of failures arrived faster than ever. "They are not afraid," one officer admitted. "They are fighting with laughter, and yet every move is coordinated. How is this possible?" The Emperor, still calm in his observation chamber, studied the growing human resistance. "They are not fighting like any other species," he said softly. "Their strength is in imagination, courage, and unity. Observe carefully. We must adapt or risk being outsmarted." But humans did not wait for the aliens to adjust. They took the initiative, striking at key points in alien fleets. In orbit above Tokyo, a squad of human engineers remotely accessed alien drones and spacecraft, using clever programming to disable navigation systems. Ships spun aimlessly, unable to maintain formation, while humans below celebrated the first significant disruption of the Empire's fleet. Even in unexpected ways, humans displayed audacity. In New York, a team used ordinary vehicles to create a moving grid across Manhattan. Using bright lights, reflective panels, and small drones, they projected illusions that made alien sensors read multiple cities where only one existed. Alien soldiers, expecting obedience, found themselves lost in a maze of mirrors and projections. Each failed maneuver strengthened human confidence. On Earth, stories of these victories spread quickly. Social media, news outlets, and public broadcasts carried real-time updates of human ingenuity. People were inspired not just by the technological victories, but by the sheer creativity and fearlessness of their species. Humanity had turned defense into art and improvisation into strategy. The Empire, meanwhile, faced growing dissent among its ranks. Many alien officers had never experienced an enemy that could match their intelligence and challenge their pride without fear. Some questioned their leader's strategy, suggesting that they adapt their tactics. Others insisted on doubling down with force, unable to comprehend the role of human creativity in battle. In San Francisco, a daring operation became a turning point. A group of human pilots infiltrated the hull of an alien cruiser, using small drones and magnetic clamps to navigate the exterior unnoticed. Once inside, they uploaded programs that temporarily disrupted shields and weapons. The ship, once feared as unstoppable, became vulnerable. Humans on the ground coordinated with the pilots, using visual signals and encrypted communication to time their maneuvers perfectly. Within minutes, the cruiser was incapacitated and drifting aimlessly in orbit. This victory sent a clear message across the globe. Humans were not only defending themselves, but striking with intelligence and precision. The Empire had expected fear and compliance, but humans had replaced both with strategy and unity. Even ordinary citizens continued to play a role in the conflict, Street performers, volunteers, and engineers transformed their cities into living networks of misdirection and traps. Energy fields disguised as art installations redirected alien sensors. Holographic projections of humans and other objects tricked alien targeting systems. Even playful pranks, carefully planned and executed, had strategic value. As the days passed, humans continued to adapt and evolve their strategies. They learned from each encounter, refining their technology, their communication, and their tactics. The Empire, powerful as it was, struggled to keep pace. Every new plan failed because humans did not react like any enemy the aliens had faced before. In a quiet moment, Dr. Morales watched the night sky from a laboratory rooftop. "They think power alone is enough," she said. "They do not understand that humans are unpredictable. They cannot calculate courage, creativity, or laughter, and that is our advantage." Across the planet, humans shared the same quiet confidence. In cafes, parks, laboratories, and homes, ordinary people continued their work, play, and creativity. Every action, while simple and human, contributed to the larger strategy of survival and resistance. In orbit, Admiral Ralvin's frustration reached a peak. "We are being outsmarted by children, engineers, and ordinary citizens," he admitted. "They do not fear us and they do not fight by our rules. What kind of species is this?" The Emperor, calm as ever, replied, "The kind that cannot be conquered by fear alone. Observe them carefully. Their unity, creativity, and audacity are weapons we have never encountered. They may yet teach us something about strategy. Or humility." On Earth, humans continued to celebrate small victories with laughter, even in the midst of battle. Children drew chalk symbols that doubled as signals for human teams. Engineers rigged everyday devices to act as decoys or defensive tools. Scientists studied alien technology and found ways to turn it into advantages. Every day, humans demonstrated that intelligence, courage, and creativity could overcome even the most powerful adversaries. As night fell across Earth, the people paused to look at the stars. The alien fleet hovered above, massive and silent, yet powerless to understand what they faced. Humans had proven that fear and rigid discipline were not enough to conquer a species that thrived on creativity, courage, and unity. In the quiet of her laboratory, Dr. Morales smiled at the sky. "This is just the beginning," she said. "They thought they could strike first, dominate, and control us. But humans do not bend to fear. We fight with our minds, our hearts, and our courage, and we will not lose." The first successful counterattacks had begun. The Empire was reeling, confused, and cautious. Humans, however, were only beginning to reveal the true extent of their ingenuity. The battle had shifted from mere defense to strategic offense, and the message was clear across the galaxy. Humanity was not just surviving, they were striking back, and striking hard. The Galactic Empire had launched its most formidable assault yet. Massive warships blocked the skies. Elite strike teams readied for deployment, and energy weapons were primed to strike every human stronghold. The Emperor believed that this time fear and overwhelming power would finally crush humanity. But humans were ready. For weeks, scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens had prepared in secret. Cities had become fortresses of ingenuity, blending technology with creativity, turning ordinary streets, buildings, and parks into strategic advantages. Humans had studied the Empire's tactics carefully, learning to anticipate attacks before they happened. In London, a network of mirrors, holograms, and decoys made it impossible for alien sensors to distinguish between real targets and illusions. Human drones flew in complex patterns, projecting false readings that led alien ships to fire at empty fields. The first salvo of the Empire's flagship energy beams struck illusions, leaving humans unharmed. Crowds cheered, but only quietly. Humans knew the real battle had only just begun. Dr. Lena Morales and her team monitored the global network from a hidden command center. "They are coming harder this time," she said. "But their strategies are predictable. They always strike where they expect resistance. We will give them something unexpected." From orbit, elite alien forces deployed in pods designed to land with maximum speed and efficiency. The humans, however, had prepared. Streets were lined with hidden energy nets, magnetic traps, and holographic decoys. As the alien troops landed, many found themselves tangled, misdirected, or surrounded by illusions. Some advanced units attempted to regroup, only to realize that the very terrain had been altered to confuse them. Every building, every street, even ordinary signs became part of the humans' defense. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, humans had converted everyday vehicles into mobile defense platforms. Trains, buses, and even small cars were equipped with electromagnetic shields and holographic projectors. As alien troops approached, they were met not with fear, but with an environment designed to mislead, confuse, and exhaust them. Pilots and small human shuttles created decoy fleets, forcing alien ships to waste energy chasing illusions. Across the globe, humans coordinated in a way the Empire could not comprehend. In San Francisco, a team of engineers hacked captured alien drones, redirecting them to attack other parts of the fleet. In Paris, humans used large-scale holographic projections to make their cities appear empty, while they secretly moved key teams into advantageous positions. Each action, while simple, combined into a global symphony of strategy and ingenuity. The Empire's flagship, a colossal vessel bristling with energy weapons, attempted a direct strike on multiple cities simultaneously. Humans responded with synchronized countermeasures, decoys, energy fields, and autonomous drones that projected false targets. Weapons fired at illusions exploded harmlessly, leaving humans intact and morale high. Admiral Ralvin's antennae twitched in frustration. They anticipate every move. Their tactics evolve faster than we can adjust. They are turning our strength against us. Dr. Morales smiled at the screen. Exactly. They think they are controlling the battlefield, but humans are always one step ahead. In New York, an audacious maneuver turned the tide further. Human teams infiltrated the hulls of alien cruisers using small shuttles equipped with magnetic clamps and silent propulsion systems. Once inside, they deployed simple but highly effective programs that disrupted shields and communications, temporarily rendering the ships vulnerable. Alien crews struggled to regain control as humans safely withdrew, their mission a complete success. Even ordinary citizens contributed. Children drew patterns on streets that served as signals for human teams. Street performers acted as moving decoys, confusing alien sensors. Engineers rigged streetlights and buildings to emit harmless but disorienting energy pulses, effectively masking human movements and confusing alien targeting systems. Every human, knowingly or unknowingly, became part of the grand defense network. The Empire, for the first time in centuries, faced organized chaos. Their pride and discipline could not compensate for the unpredictability and creativity of humans. Every attack was met with a counterattack, every maneuver anticipated, every strategy outsmarted. In orbit, the Emperor observed the unfolding battle with a mix of fascination and frustration. Humans are not only surviving, they are controlling the flow of this conflict, he said. Their creativity and courage cannot be measured by conventional means. We must adapt or fail. As the humans pressed their advantage, they began to liberate other planets under the Empire's control. Small alien outposts expecting easy obedience were met with human ingenuity and strategy. Using a combination of deception, speed, and coordination, human teams disabled key defenses, redirected energy weapons, and freed enslaved populations without unnecessary violence. Each liberated planet became a hub of human ingenuity, strengthening the global effort against the Empire. In Cape Town, a particularly bold maneuver involved creating false wormhole signatures to confuse the Empire's fleet. Ships expecting reinforcements found themselves chasing empty space. Humans coordinated across continents, sharing intelligence in real time, using encrypted networks and improvisation that the Empire could not counter. The psychological impact on the Empire's troops was profound. Many began to question their leaders' strategies. Alien soldiers, accustomed to fear-driven obedience, now faced an enemy that fought with confidence, audacity, and humor. Ordinary humans had become unpredictable strategists, using ingenuity as a weapon more powerful than any laser or missile. On Earth, Dr. Morales and her team prepared for the Empire's flagship assault. Using captured technology, human engineers devised a plan to turn the ship's weapons against itself. They deployed holographic decoys, electromagnetic pulses, and coordinated ground attacks to disrupt its systems. The flagship, a symbol of the Empire's might, faltered under the pressure of human strategy and unpredictability. In one remarkable sequence, human teams infiltrated the ship's systems remotely. By redirecting power and sending false signals, they caused the flagship to misfire on its own fleet. Alien crews struggled to regain control, while humans celebrated a major victory. The once mighty flagship thought unstoppable, now drifted in orbit temporarily disabled. Every victory, no matter how small, strengthened human morale. Across the globe, people celebrated not with arrogance but with renewed focus and creativity. Humans had proven that technology alone did not guarantee victory. Imagination, coordination, and courage were equally powerful weapons. In Paris, a team of human engineers had developed a network of miniature drones that mimicked alien ships. These decoys confused enemy sensors, forcing the Empire to waste valuable energy and ammunition. Meanwhile, civilians moved supplies, repaired equipment, and maintained communications networks, ensuring the human war effort continued smoothly. The Empire's commanders, accustomed to unquestioned obedience, faced a crisis. Strategies that had worked for centuries failed against humans' adaptability. Every calculated attack met with improvisation. Every attempt to intimidate met with courage and humor. Even elite strike teams found themselves outmaneuvered by ordinary humans using ordinary tools in extraordinary ways. Dr. Morales watched the final waves of the Empire's assault with calm determination. "They are learning too slowly," she said. "Humans adapt. They anticipate. They improvise. This is how we turn the tide." By the end of the day, the Empire had suffered unprecedented losses, both in ships and morale. Humans had not only defended their planet, but had begun to dictate the terms of battle. The psychological advantage had shifted. Where the Empire once inspired fear, humans now inspired respect and uncertainty. The Emperor, observing from his chamber, finally acknowledged the truth. Humans cannot be conquered by force alone. Their strength lies in courage, creativity, and unity. This battle is not about who has the bigger fleet, but who can think, adapt, and endure. Across the planet, humans paused to look at the night sky. Cities glowed with lights, streets buzzed with activity, and small celebrations marked victories big and small. Humanity had turned the tide. They had not only survived the Empire's assault, but had begun to control the flow of battle, proving that intelligence, courage, and creativity could overcome even the most powerful force in the galaxy. In quiet moments, children drew chalk patterns that acted as signals, engineers rigged ordinary objects to act as defenses, and scientists like Dr. Morales monitored alien movements with precision and ingenuity. Every human contribution mattered. Every act of courage, creativity, and coordination built a network of unstoppable resilience. The first phase of humanity's counterattack was over. The Empire, shocked and unprepared for an enemy so clever and fearless, began to retreat in some areas while regrouping in others. Humans, however, were not finished. They had proven their ingenuity, and the galaxy was beginning to understand that the species known as humans could not be underestimated. As night fell across Earth, the hum of activity continued. Human engineers, scientists, and ordinary citizens worked together to prepare for the next wave of attacks. The Empire had underestimated them, and humans would not forgive such arrogance. Dr. Morales, looking at the stars one last time before sleep, whispered, "The battle for Earth had lasted weeks, and the Galactic Empire was beginning to feel the weight of underestimating humans. Ships that had once filled the skies with confidence now hovered nervously, unsure where the next attack would come from. Humans had turned defense into offense, innovation into strategy, and their courage into a weapon the Empire could not calculate." In New York, Dr. Lena Morales stood on a rooftop, overlooking a city transformed by ingenuity. Streets that once carried ordinary traffic now pulsed with strategic energy grids. Drones flitted overhead, projecting holographic decoys and monitoring enemy movements. Civilians moved calmly, confident in the protective networks humans had built. "The Empire thinks they can scare us," Morales said softly, watching the approaching fleet on her monitor. "They do not understand that humans do not fear. They adapt, we plan, and we strike." Aria Chen, the young pilot who had become famous for her daring orbital missions, checked the status of her small shuttle. Her team had coordinated with human engineers across continents. Every drone, every decoy, every hologram was part of a larger plan to force the Empire to retreat. The Empire's flagship, though repaired after the last encounter, was now a primary target. Humans had learned to anticipate its movements and exploit weaknesses in its systems. Across the planet, engineers and scientists were preparing coordinated strikes, using everything from holographic projections to small orbital drones designed to interfere with the ship's navigation. In orbit above Tokyo, humans executed their first phase. Dozens of decoy ships mimicked the flagship's movements, confusing sensors. Energy pulses from human satellites created interference patterns that disrupted communications and targeting systems. As the flagship fired, it struck false targets, wasting energy while human teams advanced unseen. On the ground, humans executed a parallel strategy. Drones projected holographic cities over real ones, masking the positions of human troops. Ordinary streets and parks decorated with false energy grids and traps became mazes that alien forces could not navigate. Every alien strike met with improvisation. Every advance countered with clever misdirection. In Paris, a team of human engineers infiltrated a smaller cruiser, deploying a program that caused its engines to misfire. The ship spun uncontrollably in orbit, forcing nearby alien vessels to divert attention and resources to avoid collisions. Humans on the ground coordinated through encrypted networks, ensuring that every movement amplified the effect. Admiral Ralvin watched in disbelief from the flagship. "They are everywhere at once," he muttered. "Every move we make is anticipated, yet we cannot predict their next step." "How is this possible?" The Emperor, observing silently from his chamber, finally spoke. "It is not fear, not strength alone that guides them," he said. "They think, they adapt, and they act together. The humans are a species that cannot be conquered by conventional means. Watch carefully, they will teach us what power truly means." Humans continued to press the advantage. In Rio de Janeiro, a combination of decoys, drone swarms, and carefully timed electromagnetic pulses disabled several of the Empire's ships. In London, mirrored projections made alien sensors perceive multiple cities, leading the fleet to waste precious ammunition and energy. Across continents, humans executed synchronized strikes, always staying one step ahead. The turning point came with the flagship itself. A global human team had coordinated a bold plan. Small shuttles, piloted by skilled humans, attached magnetic clamps to the ship's hull, entering its systems undetected. Inside, engineers uploaded programs that temporarily disrupted power distribution and targeting arrays. At the same time, ground-based drones projected interference patterns that prevented communications with the rest of the fleet. The flagship's energy beams misfired, striking alien ships in its own fleet. Confusion spread rapidly. Elite crews tried to regain control, but humans had calculated every possibility. Within hours, the once proud flagship was incapacitated, drifting in orbit, unable to coordinate or attack effectively. On Earth, people watched the sky as alien ships began retreating in disarray. Across continents, humans cheered, not with arrogance but with relief and pride. The Empire, though vast and powerful, was being driven back by the ingenuity, courage, and unity of humanity. Dr. Morales stood beside Arya Chen on a rooftop in New Delhi, watching the retreating ships. "They underestimated us," Morales said. "They thought power alone could dominate a species. But humans are more than strength. We adapt, we plan, we overcome." Arya nodded. "And we laughed at them," she added, smiling. "Not because we are careless, but because we are confident. We know our value, our courage, our minds, our unity. That is what they cannot calculate." The Empire, shocked by its losses and confused by human unpredictability, began an organized withdrawal. Alien troops abandoned their positions on Earth's surface, retreating to their ships. The once feared invasion fleet now retreated in defeat, humbled by a species they had considered primitive. In orbit, Admiral Ralvin recorded his final report. "The humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They cannot be intimidated or controlled by force alone. Their creativity, courage, and unity are weapons as powerful as our technology. This species is dangerous in ways we cannot measure." The Emperor remained calm, though even he could not hide a trace of respect. "They have proven themselves worthy of observation, not just conquest," he said. "Humans are a lesson. Strength is not only in weapons, it is in courage, imagination, and the unity of purpose." On Earth, celebrations were quiet but widespread. Communities, scientists, and engineers who had contributed to the effort shared stories of bravery and ingenuity. Every citizen had played a role, whether directly or indirectly. Children drew chalk pictures in streets that had once been battlefields. Families and neighbors organized small gatherings to celebrate survival, teamwork, and victory. The humans' victory was not only a military one, It was also a symbolic triumph. Across the galaxy, civilizations watched as a species considered minor, unprepared, and simple had resisted one of the most powerful empires in existence. Humanity's courage and ingenuity became a story that would inspire countless others for generations. Dr. Morales looked at the night sky one last time, reflecting on the journey. "We have survived the impossible," she said. "Not with fear, not with hatred, not with mere force, but with intelligence, courage, and creativity. We fought as humans, and that is why we won." Arya Chen joined her, gazing at the retreating ships. They came expecting fear. They found strategy, ingenuity, and laughter. They will not forget humanity. Across the planet, humans rebuilt, repaired, and strengthened their defenses, knowing the Empire might return. But the lesson was clear. No force, however powerful, could break a species that worked together, thought creatively, and never surrendered to fear. The Empire's retreat marked a turning point. Humanity had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, courage and ingenuity could triumph. The story of Earth's defense spread across the galaxy, inspiring other civilizations to question the Empire's authority and admire the humans' boldness. In a small town in Kenya, children played under the glow of streetlights that had once projected defensive holograms. One child pointed to the stars and said, "The aliens are gone. We won." Their parents smiled, understanding the depth of the victory. It was not just survival, it was the triumph of human spirit. In laboratories, engineers began studying the Empire's abandoned technology. Scientists theorized new inventions inspired by what they had learned. Every victory had given humanity knowledge, confidence, and a sense of possibility that no alien force could take away. In orbit, the Empire's remaining forces regrouped, battered, and cautious. Their officers had learned a critical lesson. Humans could not be conquered by fear, intimidation, or brute force alone. Humanity had introduced a new kind of power to the galaxy, a power built on creativity, courage, and unity. On Earth, humans laughed and celebrated. Not because the battle was easy, but because they had faced the impossible and won. They had shown that no matter the challenge, humanity's combination of intelligence, adaptability, and courage could overcome even the mightiest adversaries. Dr. Morales, looking at a holographic map of the galaxy, smiled. "They will return someday," she said. "But by then humans will be ready. We do not just survive, we adapt, we fight, and we win. And when they come, we will meet them with courage, strategy, and laughter." As the night settled across the planet, cities glowed with life, streets buzzed with energy, and people rested knowing their ingenuity had saved their world. Humanity had triumphed. The Galactic Empire had been forced to retreat, and the galaxy had learned a simple, powerful truth. Humans were a force that could not be underestimated. The stars shone brightly above, reflecting the unbreakable spirit of a species that had faced the impossible and laughed. Humanity had won not through fear, not through power, but through intelligence, unity, and courage, and somewhere, deep in the hearts of humans everywhere, a quiet certainty grew. The galaxy was vast, challenges were many, but humans would always face them together and always prevail.